Bitcoin. Stuff's happening. Yeah. It's nice to be back after a good holiday weekend. I hope you guys all had an enjoyable time, took a little bit of time off, maybe stepped away from the market for a couple of days. Anyway, welcome back. Regardless, Bitcoin has been doing some interesting things in the charts I want to talk about with you, as well as the balance of Bitcoin on exchanges, some correlations, and of course, the really big news today. A new Bitcoin ETF has shown up on the scene. This time it seems like Australia is the newest one to beat the USA to the punch of launching a spot Bitcoin ETF. We're breaking that down for you in today's video, so make sure to stick around till the end to get all of the goods. My name's Lark. Every day I make videos talking about cryptocurrency investing. Well, not every day, but a lot of days. Usually, often. Let's say that. So if you do like that kind of content, a little tap on the thumbs up button would be most appreciated. By the way, every single week my team and I make Wealth Mastery. It's a cryptocurrency investor report. We talk about NFTs, DeFi, altcoin reviews, interviews with industry leaders, tips, tricks, token sales, airdrops, and much, much more. You can sign up for free using the link down below in the description. Now, let's talk about the price of Bitcoin, one of our favorite topics, obviously. What's very interesting is that this trend line right here has been holding up. So this is going basically from the candle closes, moving upwards. So you can see the daily closes, we have been continuing to rise, continuing to put in those higher lows, which is a good thing to see. Now we did have a nice wick under that, just like we had back here and back here. Nice wick under that the other day. Price got down to $38,500. We saw, of course, it bounce strongly back from there. Good buyer demand, as that wick indicates, pushing us back up into the 100-day simple moving average. So that's the blue line on the chart here. Price right now just above that volume. Not super awesome. We gotta say, we are also coming up on a potential bullish crossover on the MACD here for Bitcoin. So you can see right there, we had our bearish crossover back here. Remember, we were talking about that, right? Had that bearish crossover, and I was saying, man, we have these bearish crossovers on the MACD after a big run like that. Tends to get a bit of downside price action. Well, that's exactly what we got. Price of Bitcoin from the time of the bearish crossover. Fell from $47,000 all the way, of course, down to $38,500 recently. Starting to see a bit of recovery, though, for the price. And if we do get that bullish crossover on the MACD, that could indicate further upside coming in the short term here for Bitcoin. But the most important thing that I'm happy to see is that we are maintaining that uptrend. Now, just to be clear, that is just based off of the daily closes. If we take it down to the wicks, it gives us a little more wiggle room here with Bitcoin. We could essentially still see the price of Bitcoin come all the way back down to, like, let's say about $37,000 and still be in that uptrend, although we could then risk putting in a lower low. So right now we are still in the higher low situation, which is a very positive development, I think, for Bitcoin, showing a lot of strength in spite of the general jitteriness of the equity markets, which we tend to still be very correlated to. More on that in a moment, though. Also, if we zoom out a bit, and this is the weekly chart here for Bitcoin, you can see, again, we've been maintaining this kind of an uptrend here for a very long time. So this takes us right back to the start of 2021. You can see, nice and slow, steady building. People keep on buying up that Bitcoin. Now, there's still obviously a lot of macro risks. We've been talking a lot about those here on the channel. We could still see a big just puke out kind of event for the market where equities tank, crypto is going to tank right along with it in that situation. We shall see. As I've gone on at great length here, we still have inflation to worry about. We still have the war in Ukraine to worry about. We still have the Fed potentially selling mortgage-backed securities to worry about. We still have recession fears to worry about. So many things to worry about. Markets, man. Markets. I want to share this with you, too. This is a great chart from TA Analyst over here on Twitter. He says the structure of the Bitcoin chart is more tightly connected to the S&P 500 than to the halving, which is very interesting. We are seeing this increasing correlation over time. If you go back to the correlation charts from, really before 2020, before we started having these massive stimulus programs, we saw a lot less correlation between Bitcoin and key stock indexes. There was still a lot of correlation, but a lot less than we see now. Correlation has been high for quite a while. Anyway, as he says, as a result, the S&P 500's RSI should provide us with solid buy signals, and it does. For the sixth time in Bitcoin's history, we have left the blue zone, another strong buy signal. As you can see here, every time we have had the this comeback down into the blue box here, and then bounce back up, has been a good buy time for Bitcoin. We see we got it here, we got it here, we got it here as well at the bottom of the 2018 bear market cycle. We had it here just after the 2020 COVID crash, and we've got it again. Now, it's not as deep as the other ones. However, it is still an interesting signal to take note of. Now, speaking of correlation, Bitcoin continuing to show very, very strong correlation with the equity markets. So this is the Bitcoin's correlation versus gold, the NASDAQ, and the dollar. So we can see NASDAQ is the light blue line. We're up to 0.7, which is extremely high correlation that we are seeing right now for Bitcoin. Basically meaning that if the stock markets take a big fat dump, we can expect Bitcoin to move right along with it. And if the equity markets decide to take a big old fat pump, well, Bitcoin will probably go right along with it. And of course, where it is good for Bitcoin is good for the rest of the cryptocurrency market. We can see, though, very low correlation right now of gold and the dollar to Bitcoin. So people are treating gold as a safe haven and not Bitcoin so much. They're looking at it as more of like a tech stock. Interestingly, people still don't understand Bitcoin is all that I'm hearing when I see these kind of correlations happening, man. Also, the amount of Bitcoin currently sitting on exchanges just keeps on falling, man. Look at this. Look at this right here. Boom. Another new low, or at least the balances have not been this low for years. And if you look back here, this is 2020. This is peak Bitcoin right there. That little high water mark, that's peak Bitcoin. We're never going to have that much Bitcoin on exchanges ever again. Ever. It's crazy stuff, but it's true. That was the peak Bitcoin moment. We are now almost 33% lower than we were at that particular time in terms of Bitcoin, and it just keeps going off of exchanges. So look at this. Ever since we had the spike back here in mid-2021, all throughout that price rally, all the way back down, we have just seen a steady amount of Bitcoin leaving exchanges. People are accumulating, they're gobbling up Satoshis, sticking them in their wallets, and waiting. More and more people are believing in the reality of the $1 million Bitcoin. Now let's switch gears here real quick and talk about some news before we finish up today's video. The first Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs are going to debut in Australia. Nice. Well done, Australia. Good on you, mates. This is great news. People want spot ETFs for Bitcoin. They want spot ETFs for Ethereum. We've seen other countries doing this. Canada's done it. Brazil's done it. We have exchange-traded products on a lot of European exchanges as well. Australia jumping into the party here. Estimates are that we could see the Bitcoin ETF alone attract up to $1 billion in the first few days of trading because there is a very strong demand for these products. People want them. Look at the Canadian Bitcoin ETFs. They've been super popular and they're growing all the time. Ethereum ETFs, also very popular products. The two most popular cryptocurrencies are now going to be accessible by your average Australian via their brokerage accounts. They don't have to go off and get an account on Coinbase or Kraken or FTX or whatever. They don't have to hold on to their seed phrases or any of that kind of stuff. They can just buy it on their stock app, which I think is a game changer in terms of allowing new money to come into the market. Now, look, I know Australia is not the biggest country in the world. Oh, that's pretty damn big if you ever try to fly across Australia, man. Just lots of red for hours on end. Anyway, not the biggest population, though. What we really want and what the market is going to go crazy for when it finally happens is the US spot Bitcoin ETF. Market's been demanding it for a long time. The SEC just keeps on screwing over regular investors in the USA by not giving them these kind of products. Remember, they're protecting investors, guys. I think the reality is the only investors that get protected by these regulators and the stock market providers and stuff like that, hedge funds, stuff like this, that whole London Metal Exchange thing that went down. I know it's not the US, but the whole London Metal Exchange thing that went down recently, where they basically just didn't let some guy get liquidated for billions of dollars. Just shut it down. A couple phone calls. And all of a sudden, the free markets aren't so free, and things that would never happen for you happen for the guys that got a lot of money. It's not a good system. I wish the US would approve a spot Bitcoin ETF already. The fact that they won't, it's a scandal in of itself, to be honest. The most serious, most successful companies in US financial markets, we're talking about companies like ARK and Morgan Stanley and Fidelity and many, many others. These are the people trying to get a spot Bitcoin ETF, and the SEC just keeps saying, nope, can't do it. Instead, you can go over to the CME and trade paper contracts. How's that make any sense, man? How's that make any sense? It doesn't. Anyway, hopefully we get that in the US at some point in the not so distant future. Why have I gone about it being important to get into the US? Because the US is more than 50% of all global equity markets combined. The ability to unlock trillions of cash that can come into the markets is very, very real. It will open up a floodgate of liquidity like you can't even imagine. Australia, nice part of the piece of the puzzle here. Very happy to see Australia on board. Well done, guys. But we need to get the US markets on board for spot ETFs. Anyway, just my 2 Satoshis for the day. You let me know what you think about this or any of the other news down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching, and peace out till next time.